Hey everybody, Jared Bartle here, and this is my Bernie story. Today I'm going to show you the top 10 reasons why Bernie Sanders may actually become president, if no one interferes, that is. And before we go on, let me just say that the video I'm presenting to you is owned by WatchMojo.com, which is one of the largest producers, publishers, and syndicators of video content on the web. It's also brought WatchMojo.com is one of the most subscribed to channels on YouTube. WatchMojo produces top 10 lists and more on movies, music, television, anime, sports, history, news, video games, and all things pop culture. If you want, you can suggest your own list to WatchMojo for them to produce. Of course, it will take some time because none of my lists have been produced yet. But anyway, let's get to the video, shall we? That's the one.
Sorry, had to get that audio correct. Now, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look.
I am proud to announce my candidacy for President of the United States of America.
He's progressive, independent, and maybe the next president of the United States of America.
Some have tried to frame you as this fringe candidate, but a lot of the things you believe are things that the majority of Americans believe.
Welcome to...
Don't forget liberal. He's also a liberal. At least I think that's correct. Anyway.
And maybe the next president of the United States of America.
Some have tried to frame you as this fringe candidate, but a lot of the things you believe are things that the majority of Americans believe.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reasons Bernie Sanders may actually become president.
1 million individuals this year will go bankrupt because of medically related costs. That's absurd.
For this list, we're counting down the surprising reasons why Sanders could be elected President of the United States of America, following his announcement of candidacy for the Democratic nomination in the 2016 presidential election.
Now is the time for a federal jobs program to create millions of decent-paying jobs.
This also applies for the 2020 campaign too. So it's not that, it's not that old. So even though it's from 2016, it still applies to 2020. So let's keep watching, shall we?
Number 10, he fought for civil rights in the 60s.
I was arrested when I was a student protesting segregation of schools in Chicago.
It's true. Bernie Sanders has an extensive background in civil rights, as he was a student organizer for the Congress of Racial Equality while enrolled at the University of Chicago.
African-American youth unemployment is totally off the charts. We've got to put young people to work. We've got to give them an education rather than putting them in jail.
But his major challenge today will be convincing non-white voters of his policies rather than referencing events from half a century ago.
Last night, in a show of force, police in riot gear used tear gas and beanbag rounds to disperse crowds.
In a time of social unrest and social media influence, Mr. Sanders will not only have to focus on the voices of minorities, but also to hear their collective voices.
But anybody who thinks we're anywhere near where we should be
in terms of creating a non-discriminatory society is dead wrong.
And let me remind you of something. If you think Joe Biden claims he fought in the civil rights movement too, but guess what? He never did. He's lying when he said that. He's lying when he said that. But I agree. Bernie has to do more than just, Bernie has to do more than just, prove that he wasn't. Do more. What she said, anyway. Let's continue on.
Number 9. He'd be the first non-Christian president in U.S. history.
The problems we face did not come down from the heavens. They are made by bad human decisions. And good human decisions can change them.
Born in Brooklyn, New York, Bernie Sanders was raised by Jewish parents. His father emigrated from Poland after his family perished in the Holocaust, and his mother grew up in a Jewish New York home.
An African American has broken the barrier as old as the Republic. An astonishing candidate, an astonishing campaign, a seismic shift in American politics.
America made history by electing their first African American president in Barack Obama in 2007. And while Hillary Clinton may ultimately become the first woman to reach the position,
and I hope you'll join me on this journey,
it's perhaps fitting that a progressive-thinking non-Christian like Bernie Sanders is suddenly considered for the Democratic nomination.
But it will not happen unless we stand up and fight back for not only ourselves, but for our kids and future generations.
Number.
Now, Levy, even if he doesn't win, I still hope that one day in the future, America will elect its first Jewish, Muslim, Arab. You get the idea. Because if we keep electing white Christians, this is just as president, then this is just going to prove that we're not a democracy. We're something else. Now let's continue.
Number 8. He has a consistent progressive voting record.
Middle class is collapsing, poverty is up, and the rich are doing phenomenally well. What do you do?
While Bernie Sanders may be a new name to some, he's long been a defender of American manufacturing, climate change awareness, and both the middle and lower classes.
You give one whit of concern to the middle class and working families of this country. That's my question.
In 2003, he dropped some forceful words on Alan Greenspan, the former chairman of the Federal Reserve. And as television commentators will inevitably shift their attention to Hillary Clinton during campaign interviews.
Is Hillary Clinton committed to this cause, as are you?
Wolf, you have to ask Hillary.
Well, what do you think?
I don't work for her. I don't know.
Sanders remains steadfast about his concern for not only the next generation of Americans, but for all of those whom will inhabit the planet in a distant future. Those forced to live with any mistakes being made now.
They're sick and tired of working longer hours for low wages, while at the same time 99% of all new income generated is going to the top 1%.
We need more progressive liberals like Bernie Sanders in office. Oh, and for those who are wondering, I'm pausing the video so you don't miss out on this, if you know what I mean, because I don't want to be rude. He's my idol, after all.
Number 7. He supports universal health care.
Over 18,000 Americans die every single year because they don't have access to a doctor when they need that access. That's wrong.
This is a critical aspect of Bernie Sanders' campaign, and it's something that Americans can embrace. Rather than spreading paranoia about the threats of other countries, Sanders supports the healthcare model of Scandinavia and the concept that Americans should receive free healthcare as a fundamental human right.
The United States of America remains the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to our people as a right of citizenship.
Sanders' belief that more dollars should be spent on preventing disease rather than filling the pockets of officials resonates with many.
Let's pass the cost-effective way to provide universal health care to all of our people, and that is through a single-payer system.
Number 6, he's a socialist.
You describe yourself as a democratic socialist, and that is, some would say, a dangerous thing politically to describe you as.
Yes, Bernie Sanders is a socialist, and here's why.
So I think
Not just any socialist, a democratic socialist. There's a huge difference. If you don't know the difference, look it up. And if you believe it's like socialism isn't as different as communism, you are dead wrong. I did my research, and it is very different.
when people understand that in those countries, governments are working for the middle class rather than the billionaire class, I think we can get our message across.
In essence, Mr. Sanders is a socialist in that he's focused on protecting the lower and middle classes, along with the country in general.
Me, I make a lot of money. Did you know that, Senator?
I kind of guessed that.
Yeah, I make a lot. So what is my income tax rate under your administration? What would it be?
While TV commentators and pundits tend to fear and cringe at the socialist label, his supporters view Sanders' progressive thinking as one reason why he has historically dropped his partisan hat and thought about the larger picture.
The time is long overdue for these major corporations to start reinvesting in America and creating decent paying jobs right here.
All right, Bernie Sanders, everybody. Keep it going, Bernie.
Number 5, he has an honest demeanor and speaks his mind.
We can't go around telling people we're a free country when either the government or the corporate world knows every damn thing about you. That's not really freedom.
Okay, the idea of an honest politician is kind of a joke, but given Bernie Sanders' history as an independent, it seems like he may not care what people think about him when it comes to speaking the truth.
He's a long shot.
A long shot.
I don't think he's going to be taken too credibly.
Bernie Sanders is a socialist, for God's sake.
After all, Sanders is a long shot to win, but his no-nonsense demeanor is far from an act.
Does any of this matter to you?
In fact, it just may be one reason why so many voters seem to support his potential presidential nomination.
Like me.
If anything, what I would like to ask of you.
Sure, Bernie may verbally stumble at times,
But I do have some other attributes that are better than that.
and he may not drop his Brooklyn accent to adapt to regional voters. But according to supporters, that's part of his charm. Number 4, he doesn't deny climate change.
The debate is over, except within the Republican Party.
Right.
Climate change is real. It is already causing devastating problems.
Here's the thing. Either you believe modern scientists or you don't. While some politicians stand behind usual partisan viewpoints,
God's still up there, he says. The arrogance of people to think that we human beings would be able to change what he is doing in the climate.
Oof, wow.
See, I love that. He's mad.
Bernie Sanders' independent and free-thinking mind appeals to young voters for whom the issue of climate change is a big deal.
So what an honor it is for me to be part of this. Thank you very much, Bernie.
Along with Senator Barbara Boxer, Sanders set in motion the Global Warming Pollution Reduction Act of 2007, and he's also voted against the Keystone Pipeline system.
So we have got to defeat this Keystone Pipeline. We've got to rally the American people to do it, and we've got to get President Obama to be strong on this issue.
Number 3, he's anti-establishment, refuses super PACs.
The Supreme Court said these entities will not be corrupting because it's independent and it's fully disclosed. And I think arguably neither of those premises is really being borne out by the reality of modern campaigning.
Coined by reporter Eliza Newland Carney, the super PAC allows candidates to roll around in a pile of cash. But the committees may not make direct contributions to campaigns. They can, however, spend a ton of money promoting said candidate. With that being said, the anti-establishment Bernie Sanders is anti-super PAC.
So I don't think we're going to outspend Hillary Clinton or Jeb Bush or anybody else. But I think we are going to raise the kinds of money that we need to run a strong and winning campaign.
By supporting the middle class, Sanders has received an average contribution of around $43 per donation during his brief political campaign. But when you add it all up, there's enough for an independent to make a serious run at the Oval Office. It's a lofty goal, but the method behind the madness is representative of the American dream.
I don't need anybody's money. It's nice. I'm really rich.
Unlike Donald Trump, Americans can relate to the ideology of Bernie Sanders.
I think that we can raise a lot of small donations today. We opened up our website. We announced our candidacy, BernieSanders.com. I believe in the first few hours we've raised already $500,000.
Number 2, he's in favor of free or low-cost universities.
We're wasting the intellectual capital of so many bright young people.
Information is power, but unfortunately, higher education will break the bank. Today's college graduates find themselves in enormous debt upon entering the real world.
I have around $30,000 worth of student debt. It's kind of like a dark cloud that hangs over you.
And unless you come from an elite family, a good job is not always guaranteed. Bernie Sanders wants to put a Robin Hood tax on Wall Street speculation, which would ultimately create funding for free or low-cost tuition at public colleges and universities. The vision is the easy part, but young voters are leaning in.
Senator Sanders' proposal is exactly what the broken system of the U.S. higher education system needs. A free education means a free society.
A Bernie Sanders presidency gives America's students a shot at accessible higher education, rather than none at all, further explaining his rise.
And maybe at a time when my Republican friends just decided to put another $38 billion into the military, maybe we can cut military spending a little bit and put it into education.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont is the longest-serving independent in the history of Congress.
He's selling himself as more Jeb than Bush, but he is borrowing one thing from his brother: compassionate conservatism.
So enough of the rhetoric, enough of the speeches, enough about how everybody loves the veterans. Now is the time for action.
Number 1, policies for low and middle class instead of the 1%.
What they are saying is Congress seems to deal with everything except the reality facing the middle class.
You don't have to believe in climate change, free education, or even universal health care. But the fact remains that 1/10 of the top 1% in America has more money than essentially everybody else.
Wall Street now is doing phenomenally well while the middle class is disappearing. And you want to know why the American people are angry and disgusted and frustrated? That's why.
As a staunch defender of the common man and woman, Bernie Sanders hopes to distribute America's wealth by rebuilding the country's infrastructure, creating jobs, and slowly but surely changing the way of life for Americans.
I've proposed spending $1 trillion would create 13 million jobs over a 5-year period.
In other words, he wants to stop the growth of wealth inequality in the country. As the Bernie Sanders buzz continues to grow, it will be interesting to see if his popularity increases or stalls.
Feel the burn! Feel the burn!
Either way, his candor and progressive policies are hard to ignore.
At the end of the day, they may have the money, but we have the people, and when the people stand together, we can win. Thank you all very much.
Do you agree with our list?
And what I'm saying to you is yes.
Do you think Bernie Sanders may actually become president? For more mind-blowing top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Because you're an honest person. I think you just don't know what's going on in the real world.
So did you like that video? So visit WatchMojo.com and /suggest and see your idea turn into a WatchMojo video. If you want to make a poll for yourself, that is. But anyway, Bernie gets elected. he could break he'll break 4 records. First Jewish president, the oldest living president. And I can't remember what the other 2 are, but maybe that independent thing, probably.
Sorry about... Nah. Now, Bernie is the one. No doubt about that. We just need to believe that he can. And if he fails again, let's hope he inspires the next generation to take up our arms and not let her fight it. Well, that's just saying. I'm not saying go and grab a gun and just bang bang bang. No. I'm not saying that. I mean, run for office. Run for office. Run for any political office. Run for any political office in the United States. Even in the DNC committee, because that definitely needs to be fixed. That place needs to be fixed the most. Either that or just burn the DNC. And I say burn with a B-E-R-N, not B-U-R-N. Okay? Okay? Because if he loses again, I think, and after all the evidence we got of the DNC cheating, I think it's time to commit to Dem exit. No excuses. Either Dem exit or Dem reform. We have to do something. We can't just let we just can't let those corporations and the 1%, the selfish people who want their way, have their way in the politics. This is a people we're talking about. If we can fix the political system, we'll fix America. That'll be my campaign slogan if I ever run. Fix America, save the world. Plus I think it's time to pass on the torch. But I'm getting too much into my personal Yeah, I'm gonna get involved. Yeah, I'm gonna get involved in politics. In fact, I'll leave a video. For you. Video up there for you to see. On my future, especially in politics. Talking about more. But anyway. Thanks for watching this video. Now don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And if you can, share this video with as many people as you can. Friends, family, complete strangers, the possibilities are endless. Especially Biden supporters and other supporters who now support Biden because of their endorsements. And other Bernie supporters too. Green candidates. The possibilities are endless. Vote for Bernie Sanders. Vote for Bernie Sanders. Vote for Bernie Sanders. And if we can override the corporates and the corruption, will win. But until next time, to everyone out there, remember to feel the burn for Bernie Sanders. See you next time. Bye.